right, what's going on, everybody? Gave Card Stacks here. A little bit of a different video. I had someone reach out on Twitter. ESPN came out with their top 100 players before the season. And this person was like, hey, Gaby, would love to know your thoughts. Let's get a reaction video. So I started looking at it. I looked at like the first 5 or 6 names, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do it blind as well. So just going to go through my thoughts. I'll try to always tie it into cards. The good thing about college cards now, with it growing in so much popularity, a lot of these guys have cards now. You can look at a lot of lists, whether it's Leaf, On It, Bowman, of course, Sage, Wildcard Mania, Leaf, all these products, they've all got some guys. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about the top 100 players. The tough part will be, who are they missing, right? It's going to be hard for me, unless there's like a glaringly obvious miss. I'm thinking maybe some Mountain West folks, but let's just get right to it. So, first one, Azarie Thomas, A.Z. Thomas, I think is what they call him, Florida State. I'm not optimistic. He does have cards. He has cards on it. He has autos. They are pretty pricey. I imagine it's someone that you could find in a value bin or just something cheap. Someone who doesn't know who he is, lists it pretty low. Florida State fans optimistic he'd be a first rounder. There's a lot of corners on the top 100 or on this list that it's going to be tough for him to do that. But nonetheless, Florida State, I'm not a Florida State guy this year. You cannot lose 10, 11, 12 guys to the NFL and then suddenly, still be in contention. You look at their portal. I get it. Norvell, great with the portal. That's how we got Jared Verse out of Albany and Fisk out of, where is he? Western Michigan. I get it. He's built it through the portal, but you just can't tell me that everyone that they have is going to replace, your Jordan Travis. DJ Uiagalelei, we've clowned on that guy for 3 years since he was at Clemson and said he was inadequate, and now he's suddenly in the playoff conversation. Not for me. I'm out in Florida State. Give me Clemson, Miami, Virginia Tech even. Malachi Moore, he is in Bowman 2022, a guy that I bought into early. I don't hate this. It looks like not ranked last year. A few Alabama people were like, yeah, he was definitely a 4-year guy. We could have told you, though, as a freshman, though, he was going to be a star. So I bought in a little early. I sold basically everything because I'm like, man, this guy's not declaring. So I like it. Malachi Moore, Bama, cool. Aiden White, NC State, not familiar with your game. I apologize. NC State, though, I'm kind of vibing with them, to be honest. I don't love the quarterback situation. Grayson McCall's health, I don't know. But defense, you know what you're getting with Dave Dorian. They've got Casey Conception. Should be a All-American breakout type of guy. He was freshman All-American last year, so we'll see. Offensive lineman, not really bothered with that. Miami, though, I do like Cam Ward, so there's that. I don't know. He's going to be protected, I guess, with at least one good O-line. Mitchell Evans, he has a Leaf Pro Set, all sorts of different autos, I guess you could say. I'm trying to think. I think he's in Vivid as well. I'm not too sure off the top of my head, but he definitely has autos. I've been buying them. I could see him being a tight end too. Tight end is also a deep position in this class. I'm not super optimistic with Notre Dame as well, but I see a path for them. They can go 10-2 and still make the playoffs, I imagine. But offensive line, already a concern. They already lost one of their offensive linemen, and then Tosh Baker's kind of been there. He's a Phoenix Pinnacle kid. It looks like he's getting beat out by a freshman right now. So not great, not where you want to be. Dylan Thieneman, I hope he gets cards in Bowman. He kind of came out of nowhere last year. I like Purdue. I like Ryan Walters. He's going to get you. He's there, right? Or was he? He's the head coach at Purdue, right? He created all those DBs out of Illinois, so I like that. There we go, Arizona. So I only saw up to Jalen Rivers when I first saw this. So Takario Davis, Bobo is what they call him. He's a first-round pick for sure. Huge kid, 6'3". I really like him. Again, I hope he's in Bowman. That would be pretty nice. Arizona, I'm unsure how I feel about them. I would argue offensive line got worse. Wide receiver room got worse. Tight end room got worse. A lot of the offensive, pieces, I don't know, don't feel great about it. You lost Tanner McLaughlin to the draft, Jacob Cowing to the draft, Jordan Morgan was a first-round offensive lineman. Raymond Polito, I think, is out for the year, academics or something. Defense, we'll see. So, Bobo Davis, though, know the name. Avery Johnson, I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, he started one game, Pop-Tart Bowl. Congrats. Very fun player. I hope he's in Bowman as well. I think the country deserves to watch an Avery Johnson game, but just has proven that he's not that efficient of a thrower when it matters most. So that'll be interesting. Elite 11 kid, yada, yada. We'll see. They're going to be running the ball with not Trayshawn Ward. Who's the kid? Oh, gosh. Who is their running back? I can see his cards, who's also in Leaf, and then Colorado, Dylan Edwards. Is it No, DJ Giddens. There we go. DJ Giddens has Leaf, and then they got Dylan Edwards as well. And then defense will figure it out. Okay, so another freshman here who's played one game, Nico Iamaleava. I'm not super high on. You just can't rely on quarterbacks, coming in their freshman year to be dominant, to win 10 games. That's elite status in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see. Tennessee, again, I think very thin O-line, secondary, a little bit of a concern. You lose Jalen Wright and then Jabari Small. I like Squirrel White. They got Chris Brazel, and who is Brew McCoy, of course, still has eligibility somehow, it seems. Miller Moss, okay? I say, so they're just going all these first-year starters now. Miller Moss, 6 touchdowns in the bowl game versus Louisville. I like it, though, because of Lincoln Riley's track record. 3 Heisman winning quarterbacks. So it's interesting. I like it. I'll take it. I like Miller Moss. I like that receiver core, Zachariah Branch, of course, running backs, whatever. Another team that has an offensive line that concerns me a lot, though, especially being in the Big Ten. I don't like it. USC, though, I think could win 9 games. I don't know what their over-under is. I think it's at like 8.5 or 9, maybe 9.5. That'll be interesting. Quincy Riley, one of the top corners in the country. There's a lot. There's the kid Strong from Virginia Tech, and a couple others. Quincy Riley, I think once you get outside of the top 5 or so, you could, whatever. You could go in any single order, I guess. So Quincy Riley, Louisville. I do like Louisville. I wish they still had Penny Boone from the transfer portal. I don't like that running back situation. Tyler Shook. You're relying on a quarterback who has had a lot of injury history. We'll see. I don't know. Jason Henderson, I know he's from Old Dominion. I've never watched this guy play. I know he's one of the best linebackers in the country. That's about it. There's Dorian Strong. I was talking about him. One of the best corners. Again, I think you could stack them all up any which way you want after, the top 3 or 4, I would argue. So I'm curious how many more corners they have left, especially if Takario Davis is up here and AZ, the kid from Florida State. I like Virginia Tech, though. We'll see. You could buy all those Kyron Drones cards in his Baylor and Virginia Tech jersey. Outside of that, Allie Jennings also has autos, and then after that, I'm not sure a whole lot of guys have autos, but they returned a ton of guys, so that's cool. Preston Stone, a guy that I really like. Has anyone been ranked? Dorian Strong was ranked. Oh, okay, Henderson fell a little bit. Okay. Preston Stone, a guy that I like. He broke his leg, didn't he? He broke his leg, I think, in the AAC championship game versus Tulane, and they still won. I like SMU, and they've got a pretty easy schedule. They are going to throw the ball a ton. I think it's Rhett Lashley's their head coach. I really like them. They've got receivers for days, and I think they're going to surprise some people. I wouldn't be shocked if they win 8 games for sure. Isaiah Bond, this is one where I'm like, and I guess to this point, I'm fine with rankings. Dorian Strong could probably be higher, to be honest. The rest I'm cool with. This is probably the first one that I'm like, this is probably a little low. I think people are sleeping on Isaiah Bond, Alabama's best receiver, and I would argue that they didn't have a great quarterback play last year. They wasted the first 3-4 games of the year trying to figure things out with Milroe and all Buckner and all these guys. We'll see. I like Texas. I like Texas a lot. The running back injuries, who'd they lose? C.J. Baxter plus Christian Clark, actually, a kid from Phoenix, Mountain Point. He blew up last summer. Crazy. I like Isaiah Bond. I like Texas. They're going to be slinging the ball. I think he would, if he has another year, which I guess, yes, he's classified as a junior, like he could be top 25 next year. One of the best receivers. Big Jonah, O-line, Arizona. I like this. Should be a first rounder, it seems. So I'll take it and watch all his games. So that's cool. Maxon Hairston, corner. Not a guy that I'm super familiar with, but I know Kentucky's defense as a whole, elite. So this doesn't surprise me that they have one of the top corners. I think corner and D-line might actually be one of their strengths. Or maybe it's just this guy's so good. I don't know. I apologize, Cam's cards there. Trevor Etienne, I think this is way too high. What has he done to warrant, if he's 83, then Montrell Johnson better be on this list because they have the same exact production and same exact body type, everything. They're clones. So this is just pure Georgia SEC bias here. I'm not a Trevor Etienne guy. Whatever. It is what it is. You could plug anybody. They've had Kendall Milton, all those guys. They're the same. Riley Leonard. This will be interesting to watch. Injury concerns last year. A year ago, he was like, hey, this guy could be a sneaky first-round pick type, prototypical. Mechanics are all sound. Got hurt and missed basically the rest of the year. Let's see. Prior to the injury, I don't know. Missed a couple games with a foot injury or a lower body injury. Now at Notre Dame, I'm not high on Notre Dame particularly, but he's a dual threat guy. People don't probably know that. Final stat line, I don't know exactly those stats, but we'll see. Connor Wakeman, this is grossly overrated. What has this guy done? Gross. This is bad. Nothing screams to me that he is a top quarterback in the country. I get it, recruiting websites had him ranked super high long ago. If he gets cards in Bowman, another guy that I have no FOMO of, I guess I say that with DJU. I don't have any FOMO. I have zero FOMO not having any Connor Wakeman cards ever in my life. Not for me. You'll see him in first round mock drafts though. Let's see. Look like quarterback. Yeah. New Mexico is where he got all these stats. What? For what? I don't know. Denzel Burke. I like Denzel Burke. He's fine right here. He's out of Scottsdale Saguaro, so I've followed him for quite some time. I like him. I'm surprised that he came back for another year. That's cool that he is, and that defense is going to be rolling. So Ohio State, cool. Good for you there. Ricky White, I'm shocked that they have him. Good for ESPN. Been productive, 1,400 yards. Brennan Marion's go-go offense is going to be nice. Don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Hodge Malik Williams and Matthew Sluka, we'll see. But I have been buying a ton of his Bowman cards. Denzel Burke I bought heavy into last year. I thought he was going to be a first-rounder this last year and then came back in terms of cards. Riley Leonard, Trevor Etienne, I don't really buy at all. So whatever. Going on, Zachariah Branch, cool. I like that. Special teamers, have a special place in my heart. Just electric. So I'm excited to see him make a year 2 jump. One of the fastest players in the country. I'm cool with that. He's a Panini exclusive though, so I don't know what kind of cards they'll come out with, if he'll be in Panini Prism draft picks. He has Panini instant cards, but that's all I know. Kobe Bryant, I like this. I like this a lot. He's one of those corners. I think he's a little underrated. He does have cards in Sage. Really not a whole lot of high end you can get there. It's like a gold hand number to 100. But otherwise, Kobe Bryant, I think people are going to learn about him this year with Kansas. I hope Jalen Daniels stays healthy. We should see him later on in this list. I would guess I'm going to throw out a dart throw. 44 is where we'll see him. We'll see. Kobe Bryant, though, I like him. Electric. He's sticky. Everything that you want out of a corner. Landon Jackson, I'd love to see him in Bowman. I'd love to see Landon Jackson in Bowman as well. It seems like he's been there forever. Transferred from LSU. Yep, coming off an ACL. 6'7", 280. Crazy. I love Landon Jackson. Don't love Arkansas, but I do like Landon Jackson. I think he could be something in the NFL. Kenneth Grant, just Michigan defense in general is going to keep them in games. I like him. Obviously, Mason Graham is going to be somewhere up in the top 3, 4, 5. So cool. Good for Kenneth Grant. Michigan, let's see what they do without a quarterback. I don't know. Deion Burks. I like Deion Burks a lot. Transfer from Purdue. I like Oklahoma's receiver core. Again, another guy that if he's in Bowman, he's junior, so he could have another year after that. I'm with it. I'll take it. I think he's in for a big season. I'm not a huge Jackson Dart guy, but between all the other receivers, Deion Burks, who's the Nick Anderson was the other big one. I like Gavin Sawchuk. I don't expect Gavin to be on this list if Deion is already at 74, but I like him as well. Billy Bowman, another one of the best. Oklahoma's got a very, very solid defense. The concern is O-line, Billy Bowman, and then they've got another linebacker who we'll probably see later on. I like him. Cool. Good for Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's in for a rude awakening versus the SEC. I see them winning 6 to 7 games, though. Donovan Edwards, this one, not for me. I just think there are better running backs. I could list 10 other guys right now. I'm curious how many other running backs are on this list and how many more we'll get down to. If Donovan Edwards is 72, I don't think they're ranking Jaden. Maybe they'll get Damon Martinez now just purely based off of Miami hype, and that's about it. If he were still at Oregon State, I guarantee you he would not be on this list. No one cared about him. But that's just ESPN for you and all of this nonsense. So Donovan Edwards, great. He's a great player for all the Michigan montages and program history and the longest run in championship history and all this, oh my God, he's dominated Ohio State. Most inconsistent player of all time. Caden Salter. I love Caden Salter. I've been buying heavy on his Leaf autos. Liberty's going to have a dynamic offense. You look at what Jamie Chadwell has done when it comes to Grayson McCall at Coastal Carolina. Now he's at Liberty. First year, number 3 scoring offense in the country. Now they're in year 2. They bring back a lot of guys. They've got a great O-line. They bring back Quentin Cooley. They've got Caden Salter. They did lose CJ Daniels, but I do love Caden Salter. If he's in Bowman, that's great. If not, I'm still buying his Leaf. Jabbar Muhammad, meh for me. Not necessarily, someone I am particularly high on for Oregon. Good transfer, I guess. One of the top 10 corners, sure. Again, one of those guys that I'd kind of peg, I wouldn't be upset if you marked him at number 4. I wouldn't be upset if you marked him at 10. But anywhere inside the top 3, I'm like, eh. All right, Katron Allen, Penn State running back. This is interesting to see. Curious if they'll have Nick Singleton in here as well. But production-wise, Katron Allen has been the better back. Nick Singleton had the amazing freshman year. People were like, oh my God, he's the next Saquon. Katron was kind of there. Now Katron, I think, kind of took over just a smidge in terms of production. I still like Nick Singleton. I would buy low on him. Katron has Leaf autos from high school, and also he's in a couple of updated sets over the last few years. Not bad. I don't trust Penn State offense. I don't like Drew Allar, but I could see them. Honestly, I feel better about them making the playoffs than they're probably like my 6th favorite team. I don't like saying favorite, but the 6th best chance to get into the playoffs just because of their schedule. They don't play a lot of teams. I think they miss Oregon. I don't think they have Michigan, and I forget who else they have. So I'm not sure just how to evaluate them as a team, just because West Virginia week 1, though, we'll see. That'll be interesting. Great. One of your transfers from UW comes over. Looks like a good run blocking grade. I wish you the best of luck, Parker. Jalen Walker, not a guy I'm familiar with. Curious here. He's been a reserve in his first 2, but expected to occupy. So this is purely... So what are we doing here? This is purely off of hype. He's been a reserve in his first 2 seasons, but expected to occupy a much more significant role. What is this Georgia hype? Just because he's a Georgia starting linebacker, now he's a top 100 player, top 67 player at that? I don't know. I mean, he had 5 sacks, I guess. Okay. Top 40. Woo. Xavier Restrepo, I really like him. I hope he does well with Cam Ward now. Should do better. I don't know. I mean, Tyler Van Dyke had a pretty strong first half of the season, and then kind of, things started falling off the wheels or off the wagon there. I like Xavier Restrepo. He will probably have over 100 receptions this year. I wouldn't be shocked if he leads the country in receiving. He has Sage autos. I think that's it. I've been buying Sage autos. Also on card autos on the next level, which is really cool. Did I miss anybody from a card perspective? No. Okay, Brady Cook. I love Brady Cook. I love Missouri's schedule. Year 2 of Garrett Riley. Garrett Riley, I think, is... no, who's their OC? Gosh, I'm blanking on... Moore. Nope, there we go. Garrett Riley's at Clemson. It's Moore. Kirby Moore. What's the Boise State kid who was at Texas? Now I think he's in LA or in Dallas. Moore. Moore is their offensive coordinator. Second year, he turned down Alabama. He was on his staff with DeBoer at Fresno State. I love Brady Cook. I buy his Sapphire. Still underpriced, in my opinion. You can get him $3-4. With that schedule, I expect Brady Cook to do amazing things. Luther Burden, they tell me, is the number one receiver in America. Who's got to throw him the ball? Brady Cook. So there you go. Anthony Hill, not super familiar. Number one class, so he's a sophomore. That's probably why I didn't watch a whole lot of Texas, to be honest. But there you go. Good for you. Antoine Powell-Ryland. I've heard a lot of things about him. I just haven't taken a deep dive on Virginia Tech defense as a whole, but I do know I've seen this name. Cool. Very good. Ricardo Hallman, another name I'm not super familiar with, not usually on the top 10-ish list. So now that my ears are perked up, I'm definitely going to look into Ricardo Hallman. I would not rank him just based off what I know right now, and I follow a lot of like the hype and everything. I don't know if I'd put him above. That's why I've got an issue with like Oregon and Muhammad and Dorian Strong, Virginia Tech, like all those guys. I'm like, I'm not sure I agree with this. So, but I don't know. Maybe there's something that I've missed. We'll see. Princely Umanian. I've seen a lot of things about him on TikTok about how he just gives up on plays. I've seen it a lot too. I'm not so sure this guy is like a dog. We'll see when he wants to, which, whatever. I don't love that, but meh. I think very overrated. You'll see him in a lot of first-round mock drafts. Deontay Lawson, good linebacker. I love Alabama's defense. I buy into them. If there were a Deontay Lawson card, I would probably be stocking up just because of the pedigree. Like a Jihad Campbell, I'm buying a ton of him. Just anybody on Alabama's defense, the pedigree. Even with DeBoer, who knows what his defenses look like compared to a Saban run defense, but I'll take it. Minnesota offensive line, good. You're paving the way for Darius Taylor. Keep doing your thing. I like it. That could explain a lot of Darius Taylor's production as well, being behind a good offensive line. Tyleik Williams, I've seen him first, second-ish rounder. He's got Bowman autos. They don't do much. You buy green, gold, orange, all for about $10, $15. So not someone, interior defensive lineman, whatever. Donovan Jackson, same thing. Bowman, good for you. I'm not really super interested. Cam Ward, 56. This is insane. He's got to be higher than 56 if you're putting, this kid from Georgia who, whatever. I don't know. That's pretty shocking to me. Even with a Miami bump that I would perceive to be there, he just has a fumbling problem. He's fumbled 46 times in 4 years. So we'll see. He's only moved up 4 spots after last year. He was buzzing last year. And he had a heck of a season, I would argue. We'll see. But I like Cam Ward a lot. I think he's one of the guys, he probably got a pre-draft grade of a 5th rounder. I think he could go up to the 1st or 2nd just based off of the hype and the Anthony Richardson and Joe Milton effect. Torwin, I like this ranking. I think he's probably a little bit higher, but such is life. 2 straight 1,000-yard receiving yard seasons, and I think he had like 800 the year before. Super productive. Braden Fowler Nicolosi is quarterback. They said they both got like $600K to enter the portal, or they were offered. Who knows? But I like Colorado State. That'll be interesting to see when they play Colorado this year. Clay Webb, Jacksonville State. Shout out Rich Rod. Happy for you, Rich Rod. There you go. Cam Rising, 53. Interesting. Not ranked last year, I imagine, because he was already ruled out for all of last year. Utah's interesting. I buy a lot of Cam Rising. I also buy Cam Ward, but Cam Rising, just one of those guys. I would pick him if we had a draft, and it's like, all right, who are you going to build your team around? I want Cam Rising. I think he's just got that Gardner Minshew, Tim Tebow type grit to him, where it's like, yeah, this guy, he's going to play through some broken ribs, and he's not going to say a damn thing about it. So I really like Cam Rising a lot. I hope he does well. I hope Utah does well. I like Kyle Whittingham. Xavier Watts, safety, Notre Dame, excellent. They've got a pretty solid secondary. I'm curious to see where we'll see some of the other members, but Xavier Watts. Yeah, I mean, they've got some very very top talent, but it's kind of the rest of the roster that I don't love. Noah Fita, Arizona, 51. They had him at 31 last year. He didn't even start last year. That's incorrect. ESPN. What is this? Nonetheless, again, I talked about Arizona. I'm not optimistic with just the turnover they had with the NFL draft. Arizona does not produce draft picks, and now suddenly they've got 3 guys in the NFL. They lost their starting running back to UW. We'll see. He's like 5'8" on a good day, but he is in Bowman. He's supposed to be the poster boy, so I like that. Peter Woods, Clemson. Clemson's going to have a monster defensive line. That's what's going to help keep them in games. They're going to be great. So cool. Peter, just in general from a card perspective, will I buy defensive line guys? No, unless it's super cheap, which usually they are. So I guess, maybe that just answered my question. Trey Moore. Yeah, this is that UTSA kid. Honestly, don't know too much about him. That's all I can really say, I guess. I know he transferred in from UTSA. He's supposed to be one of the best players. And UTSA, I think, is like just going to implode now. All their best players left. Casey Conception. I like this. Respect for the freshman All-American. I think I already talked about him when NC State had a player up earlier. I like him a lot. I buy his on-it autos, on-card, licensed, everything. He does have Leaf autos. Typically when there are Leaf autos, or typically when there's licensed product, I will stick with that. I typically don't buy the unlicensed stuff. Maybe it's a good value, but I stick to the licensed stuff that people I think are going to ultimately want. Emory Jones offensive line, they've got 2 great offensive linemen, which is confusing because Jaden Daniels was running for his life last year. He took a ton of sacks. I don't know. Wish you well. Damian Martinez, 46. I'm trying to process this and just evaluate. Maybe Jaden Ott is in here. I don't know, but he's in the top 50 right now. There's a lot of good running backs. I'm curious. I feel like Damian Martinez is going to be one of the highest ranked in this list. So I'm curious to see how this goes. But I love Damian Martinez. I think he's going to do amazing things at Miami. The thing that's going to hold him back is Mario Cristobal. Howard Cross, another defensive player from Notre Dame. I think he might have... No, he doesn't have autos. But I remember I went down the rabbit hole with Notre Dame when I saw Mitchell Evans had autos. Again, Notre Dame, a ton of high-level first-round talent, and then not a whole lot after that, so I don't know. Patrick Payton, I really like Patrick Payton a lot. Did he transfer in from somewhere? Maybe not. I don't remember. It wouldn't shock me because that's what Norvell does, but I like Patrick Payton. He has autos and on it in the new 2024 set, so that'll be fun. Patrick Payton, I like him. Him and Ashton Gillette and Landon Jackson, like 3 of my favorite defensive ends and defensive prospects. Ruben Bain, defensive end. I really like the defensive line. They got Barlow from Michigan State. So Miami, again, they're just kind of a super team. They've accumulated a lot of talent. That's why I'm high on Miami. Would I buy autos? Meh, maybe not. So Jaden Ott, I did see this when I scrolled down. I'm impressed that he is above Damian Martinez. I'm going to give them credit for that. Jaden Ott, I would pick Jaden Ott over Damian Martinez. I think they get it right there. ACC now is going to be interesting. I think Cal could be a sneaky team offensively. Fernando Mendoza is going to be their quarterback, I imagine, even though they got Chandler Rogers from North Texas. I'm curious. And also, it's going to suck for all those ACC teams to head out west, do that flight, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. Jaden Ott, I buy his gold autos all the time. I think he could be one of the best running backs in the country. Wouldn't shock me if he leads the league in rushing. We'll see. Jackson Dart, 41. This is very interesting. I think this is grossly underrated. Also, he was not ranked last year, but Noah Fafita was 31. ESPN is garbage, but nonetheless, I love Jackson Dart. You can see him in first-round mock drafts sometimes. It just kind of depends on what you're looking at, I guess, but I think They've got such an easy schedule. They play Georgia, whatever. That's going to be a tough one. But after that, like, I'm not scared of Oklahoma. I'm not scared of LSU. They've got the weapons. Trey Harris. They've got Juice Wells. Running back, okay, you're taking a big jump off without Quinshon Judkins, but their tight end is supposed to be pretty good. Always forget his name. Defense, they are bringing in starters from other Power 5 teams, and they're sitting on their bench. That's how good Lane Kiffin has dominated, or just how much he's dominated in the transfer portal. So I like Ole Miss. I like Jackson Dart a lot. Jalen Daniels, 40 above Jackson Dart. He barely even played last year. And Jackson Dart, I feel like, has more games under his belt. Again, this is ESPN. It's likely garbage and just going off potential, I guess. If Jalen Daniels is healthy, if Jalen Daniels plays in, I'll give them 11 games. If he plays in 11 games, Kansas is in the college football playoffs. One of the easiest schedules in the country. I've never seen an easier schedule in my life. I hope he stays healthy. They've got a lot of talent. I like Lance Leopold. Go Jalen Daniels. His autos are pricey, though. His base is probably like 30. His refractors are probably 40. And then color, I don't know, auctions probably fall anywhere between 50 and 60. Then that doesn't even matter. It could be magenta. It could be green. It could be yellow. They all sell between 50 to 75. Golds, even probably sneak at like 70 to 80. Ashton Gillette, talked about him before. One of my favorite defensive ends. I love Louisville's defense. I like it. Not much to say. If he had cards, I would probably buy them. And that's just, obviously price dependent, but he's somewhere it's like, yeah, I believe in him. I would pay up. Trey Harris, receiver for Ole Miss, one of the best in the country. Hopefully he does well. Hopefully he stays healthy. And Jackson Dart, Ole Miss, they can do the darn thing. Taj Brooks, okay, good. I not that I forgot about Taj Brooks, but I was trying to think in my head, all right, who are the other running backs that's going to be ahead of Jaden, ahead of Damon Martinez, especially for being, so far back, I would say. Taj Brooks, I think he led all the Power 5 in rushing. He carries the ball a ton, like a lot. They feed him unlike anything else. I'm not a huge Texas Tech guy, though. McGuire, their head coach, where did he come from? He was an assistant before at another school, obviously, but I like Taj Brooks. I like him a lot. His black Sapphire just sold for $100. I think it was a PSA 9 auto. Was it an auto? I think it was an auto. I think Sapphire Black is only autos for football. I really like Taj Brooks. Good pick. Jay Higgins, I think Iowa's probably got the best the best linebacker core in the country, if I'm not mistaken. I like Iowa. They don't have a quarterback. They were 120th out of 133 teams last year in FBS in terms of offense. If you can just improve slightly, I think you're okay. Cooper DeJean, all right, you lose him. I'm sure they lost some other guys that I'm not thinking of right now, but I like Iowa. They got a very easy schedule. It's doable. TreVeyon Henderson, I've never been a huge fan of TreVeyon, to be honest. He's just kind of there. I don't think he ever necessarily, he's just there. I don't know. In injury, I think he was okay with Judkins coming over to preserve his body for the NFL. I think that was a big role because it's like, why would Quinshon Judkins and why would TreVeyon Henderson not just declare for the draft? He's got Judkins to steal. I think it's the long game for him. So good for him to be 35 though, and then that's a little high for me. And then Quinshon Judkins should be way higher than 34. Quinshon Judkins has here we go. Is this it? Him and Herschel Walker are the only two players to have 3,000 yards rushing and 30 touchdowns in the SEC in their first 2 years. He is the goods. Quinshon should be way higher. He's not one spot better than TreVeyon Henderson. Whatever. Jack Sawyer, I'm not a huge Jack Sawyer guy, to be honest. I really don't see it. ESPN #1 overall recruit, that's interesting. I would rather take TJ for sure. I've just never been a Jack Sawyer guy. I don't know. Danny Stutzman, there we go. That's the other linebacker. I was trying to think of his name when we saw Billy Bowman, safety for Oklahoma. Danny Stutzman's the truth. That defense is going to be unreal. Just that offensive line, they got to hold up. Jack Sawyer does have Bowman. I buy him just because in case I'm so violently wrong, I make money. That's pretty much it. Judkin's a little bit too pricey for me. Travion has some Leaf autos, I think. Danny Stutzman, great. Maybe I'd buy him if he has a cool image. Tyler Booker, great offensive lineman, Alabama, yada, yada. Cool. Not much I really need to say, want to say, have to say. Mykel Williams, I love Mykel Williams. I think he could probably be one of the top 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I guess at 30 he probably is in that conversation, but I think he'll probably be top 2 or 3 defensive line, edge, outside linebacker type guys in the draft. I think they wanted to play him a little bit more as an outside linebacker, not necessarily a D end, or maybe I have it the other way around. I really like Mykel. His stuff is it jumped a little bit, I guess. You could usually get his autos around 10. Now it's probably 20. And gold autos, have been going up. Nick Scourton, transfer from Purdue. I like him. I think he is also getting a lot of first-round hype. You're seeing him like the top 20. Would I buy his Bowman cards? Maybe. He's apparently the truth. I'm just, not for me. I haven't watched a lot of him. I just know a huge transfer from Purdue going to A&M. Mika Ibuka, I think he's a little overrated. I'm going to say he's just been hurt. I don't trust him. If there were, I'm taking Torrey Horton and I'm taking Ricky White over him, to be honest. Maybe that's a hot take, I guess, but he doesn't do much for me. No, he doesn't. I'm trying to think, but no. Omarion Hampton, this is interesting. This is interesting to have him this high. I don't hate it, but I'm glad that, one of those running backs I kind of forgot about. I like it. Definitely going to be, he is in Leaf, definitely going to be buying some of his Bowman cards, so I really like Omarion Hampton right there. Colston Loveland, tight end. I like him. He had a great national championship game. We'll see what happens. I'm rooting for him. Doesn't have a quarterback, though, but I do think he's the best tight end in the country. Mitchell Evans, what was he, like 96? I think that's fair to have him, 70 spots above him. Colston Loveland is the truth. Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I'm not a huge Malachi Nelson fan. I always get the two mixed up. Malachi Moore and Nelson, Bama DB, quarterback, Boise State. They're going to load the box on Jeanty. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm not high on Boise State. I don't think they're going to be the college football playoff rep for the group of 5. Shedeur Sanders, 24. This will be interesting. Again, people are going to love him. People are going to hate Colorado. People probably hate Colorado more than they love Colorado. I don't really care. You're watching Colorado, though. So, whatever. Dion is a master of recruiting, marketing, all of that. He's changed this landscape of college football. I hope Shedeur does well. I mean, okay. I don't love the antics of Colorado and all of that. So that's what gives me hesitancy. From an efficiency standpoint, I just hate the haters of Colorado, man. I get it. He puts a target on his back, but can we just enjoy and just watch? I don't care if he's taking sacks to improve his completion percentage. Just let him do his thing, for Christ's sake. Quinn Ewers. Okay, this is where I'd have an issue here, I guess. One spot above Shedeur. I think Quinn's way better. Shoulder concern, definitely. I feel like every year he takes a hit and he's grabbing at his shoulder. So that's concerning. Arch Manning to the rescue, I don't know. Jesus Christ. Jalen Milroe above both of these guys, not for me. Here's my hot take. The narrative, just think about where we were. I get it. People can improve throughout the season. But think about where we were for the UCF game and then the Texas game. He got benched for a lacrosse player. He got benched for Tyler Buckner. And then everyone is blaming that Texas loss on Jalen Milroe. If he doesn't convert 4th and 31 against Auburn, we're saying this is a quarterback competition. There's no luck. They're not in the college football playoffs. They played their tail off against Michigan. Good for you. But they're not in college football playoffs then at that point if they don't convert. And I think the narrative is way different. I hope I'm wrong. Alabama, but I don't like it. Deion Walker should be way higher. This is gross. Deion Walker should be up there with like Mason Graham and in the top 10. He's amazing. He is a monster. He will be one of the first defensive, I guess, a lot of defense in the draft. He'll be a top 10 pick. I don't think there's any denying him. Abdul Carter, interesting. I obviously would put Deion Walker above him. Great linebacker from a draft perspective. He's probably going to fall to a second round. It's just tough from a value perspective. Abdul Carter, though, cool. Danny Dennis-Sutton, cool. They've got a lot of guys. They've produced a lot of guys. Maybe he's the next Micah Parsons. I don't know. But very cool. Abdul, if he had cards, I wouldn't buy him, to be honest. I'd buy Deion Walker, though. Sebastian Castro, more Iowa defense. They have him as safety. Is he a safety? I could have sworn he was a corner. Were none of these guys just ranked, but they ranked Noah Fafita last year? Sebastian Castro, he's there. I wouldn't buy cards of his, but Iowa defense, going to be the best in the country again, for sure. Tez Johnson has cards in Wild Card Mania, and I've been buying them. I love Tez Johnson. And what's gross is we haven't seen Evan Stewart, which means Evan Stewart is above Tez Johnson. Tell me why Evan Stewart would be ranked above Tez Johnson. In what universe, upside, potential, recruiting rankings, all this nonsense, in what universe is Evan Stewart a better receiver than Tez Johnson? Tez Johnson, injury concerns, broke curfew, quit on his team. All this stuff has never produced more than 600 yards in his career as the number one receiver in the country now 3 years ago. Tez Johnson has been the dude. The NFL is not going to like him because of size, whatever, but Tez Johnson is going to be the guy. I hope Tez Johnson does well. We haven't seen Dylan Gabriel on this list either. That means he's dangerously up here, or they're just going to dangerously omit him. Or maybe they're going to omit Evan Stewart, but I doubt it because he has so much stupid hype. Tate Ratledge, one of the best, cool offensive line, though. Whatever. Okay, there's Dylan Gabriel. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with 16. He's my Heisman pick. You look at what Bo Nix did. I think Dylan Gabriel's better. I think he brings a little bit more to the table. I'm a little concerned, I guess, about his first year in the system. That was Bo Nix's second year. But otherwise, I love Dylan Gabriel. There's no one else that I feel super confident in with the team around him. Like Carson Beck, I don't love, which means we haven't seen him, so he'll be up here. I love Dylan Gabriel. Barrett Carter, Clemson, okay, cool. Nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't buy his cards if he had cards, but I get it. One of the best linebackers in the country. Maybe the best. Is there going to be another linebacker? Am I blanking on somebody? Maybe. Harold Perkins, okay, yes, I personally would consider him as a D-end edge, but he is moving to linebacker. Don't love that move for him. You lose Mekhi Wingo, you lose Mason Smith. There's going to be a lot of junk now in the interior of that defensive line, in the interior for that linebacker. I love Harold Perkins, though. I wish he was still on the edge, though. He's only like 18 years old, 19. He was 17 years old as a freshman or something. And in his flu game against Arkansas, he had like 5 games. That was incredible. I was in a hotel room. We were going to the Rose Bowl, UCLA, Arizona. We were watching that game. That was crazy. Tetairoa McMillan, 13. Nice. Cool. He's hurt right now. I think I saw he was running 50% speed like a week or two ago. He had some sort of surgery back in April or May. And was like, yeah, he should be ready for the season. What do you mean he should be ready? That's 4 months away. He should be ready in 4 months? So that's my concern. But the number one receiver in the country, I don't know the severity of this injury. If it was just, I don't think it was an injury. It was just, I don't know. Maybe it was. A preventative thing. I don't know. But you're not finding a 6'5", 210 receiver in the draft, in the country like him with his skill set, a volleyball background. It's insane. Watch his games. The catches he makes are just insane. No, people say I think Mike Evans. I think it's more like a Larry Fitzgerald comp, but Mike Evans seems to be the popular one. Ben Morrison, there we go. Local kid, Brophy, Phoenix. Ben Morrison, his brother Samuel Morrison. It's weird. He was at Gonzaga in Maryland, and then no, he didn't go to prep school. I think he went straight from Gonzaga to Arizona, and then he transferred. I forgot where he went, somewhere in like the South. Ben Morrison is the truth. I would say he might be my number one corner. He might be. I love Ben Morrison. Love him. Caleb Downs, 11. As a true freshman, he led the team in tackles, Alabama. I love him. Yeah, there's really not much. He is. I'm buying his Bowman cards. He's going to be one of the top players in the 2026 draft. Generational talent. Malachi Starks had 10. That's high. That's a little high for me. I'd be cool outside the top 20, maybe top 15. 10. Top 10 player in the country is a little high for me. I am very heavily invested in Malachi Starks. So I have 2-3 gold autos. One graded PSA 9 on ComC. I like him. Just maybe not 10. Ben Morrison, I hope he has cards. Tetroa, very pricey. I probably wouldn't touch. Love buying Harold Perkins. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Kelvin Banks, him and the other Campbell kid out of LSU are going to be 1 and 2 in terms of tackles. We'll see. Ollie Gordon, 8. Led the, oh, God. Who did I say led the country in rushing yards last year or was close to it? Taj Brooks. Yeah, I forgot about Ollie Gordon. My goodness. I like Ollie Gordon. I have no problems. I don't love the DUI. It is what it is. I like Oklahoma State. Their over-unders at 7.5, which is awfully suspicious. I don't love that. Carson Beck is cool. I don't think he's like an elite prospect, but I'm going to follow the hype and continue to buy his lower-end cards. I like, if there's a guy that I don't necessarily believe in, like I'm not going to go out and buy his gold autos, but I'll go buy his refractors. $8 a piece. X-fractors, $10 a piece. Purple Shimmer, 8 to 10. I'll go buy that stuff, but I don't mess with the gold autos and stuff like that when I don't truly believe in a guy. I think he'll probably be quarterback 1 in the draft, maybe. I don't know. I don't believe in him that much to say, yeah, he's like a Caleb Williams type guy. Not for me. Well, there's Will Campbell. Cool, good for him. Luther Burden, top 5. People love Luther Burden. I get it, whatever, but in my opinion, from a draft perspective, from an NFL perspective, you can find this guy anywhere. They're giving him the ball any way they can. Reverse, tunnel, quick game, deep ball, out of the backfield. You can find those gadget guys anywhere. He's great. He's electric, but I don't know. It just bothers me a little bit. They don't want to go too far, but Will Johnson, disregard what I said about Benjamin Morrison being the best. Will Johnson is the most complete corner. I would say that. I mean, I don't want to speak, from of our generation, but he's the truth. He's a buffet tackler, though. I don't like that, but that's nitpicking. Just like how he tackles, he's very. He picks and chooses when he wants to tackle, and sometimes it does not look good. Travis Hunter. I like him better as a receiver than a corner. He's a good zone corner, instinctual, whatever. He'll bait you. I don't think he's a good man corner. Number 3 in all of college football. I mean, from a value perspective, I guess he's playing 80 snaps a game. Meh. Mason Graham. There's Mason Graham, number 2. I knew he was going to be somewhere in the top 3, I imagine. Servite kid. Played with Tetroa McMillan, played with Noah Fafita, Jacob Manu, Keon Burnett. When Jim Harbaugh left, I think a lot of Arizona fans stupidly were like, Mason Graham, come on down, hit the portal. Mason Graham's a beast. He's gonna carry that team. So number 1, James Pierce Jr., defensive end. You'll see him on mock drafts. Number 1 overall. Mason Graham does not have cards. Travis Hunter, I do like buying him, as well as Will Johnson as well. James Pierce Jr. Has on-it cards. I actually just bought his auto. People really like him as the number 1 pick. I think you go him or Michael Williams. I don't know exactly. He's 6'5", 243, and he runs like a wide receiver. He's insane. So I like James Pierce Jr. Number 1. Sure, I guess if I'm glad I'd rather have that over like Travis Hunter. I get he's more explosive and can do it all way more than Mason Graham. Will Johnson, to be honest though, like if he was number 1, I'd be like, yeah, cool, I'm with that. You go 1, 2, 3. I would still be fine if you put James Pierce at 3, bump Travis down to 4. Yeah. Will Johnson's the only other one I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I'm cool with him being number 1. James Pierce, though, I guess, you know, if you're going to have James Pierce the high, though, I think you have Michael Williams a little bit higher. So, right, there we go. There's blind reaction. Try to incorporate as much card action as we can. I think it's a great list, a great resource to start. If your research and you watching a film, or if my assessment of a player is similar, go out and buy some cards. Cards are not going to go to 0. You should be fine losing money if you're buying into sports cards. So go do your own evaluation, find all this research for a starting point, right? You know, is Gaby talking about him? Let's see, you know. And then if our thought process matches up, go out and buy some cards. Don't be scared to lose some money. Fun stuff. I'm ready for college football, Bowman University, all the sets. If you like this video, if you want to see more of this, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Peace. Love you.